You're what you eat. In the Indian context, vegetarianism is never about eating grass and lentils but is about respecting all forms of life as an organic unity. The 18th-century French lawyer Jean-Anthony Brillat-Savarin famously said, "Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you what you are." Savarin was perhaps the first person, though not a chef, who realized that whatever we eat directly reflects in our being. 50 years later, German philosopher Ludwig Andreas Feuerbach made it a little more explicit by saying, "Man is what he eats." The Upanishads describe food as Brahman, and that is why we always stress on an appetizing and nutritious meal, because it affects our senses, making us more alive, more aware. The effect of food on our mind, body, and soul has been the center of discussion even in ancient Greece when Pythagoras argued in favor of a healthy vegetarian diet. Though at the time when the philosopher lived, in around 500 BC, the term vegetarianism was not known, his diet came to be known as Pythagorean diet. Many of us know Pythagoras for his theory on geometry, but few will be aware of his profound wisdom on food habits that weaves together materialism and spirituality, body and soul, into a harmonious whole. Of course, it is a personal choice whether one wants to be vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, but the recent craze about vegetarianism in the West that has largely been non-vegetarian, perhaps, derives the motivation from Pythagoras. Unlike in the West, religions in India since ancient times have favored vegetarianism. In the Indian context, vegetarianism was never about eating grass and lentils but was about respecting all forms of life as an organic unity. Indian spirituality always emphasized that man is not an island but an orchestra in this universe, and life without animals, birds, and fish would be monotonous. That is why our Vegetarianism Sutra says that life is God, and any form of destruction would be like destroying the very root of the universe. It is said that vegetarian food is light and non-vegetarian food is heavy. This is significant. Eating meat makes one feel heavy and tethered to earth, while a vegetarian diet makes one feel light. Diving deeper and sitting in stillness will be easier. We become what we eat. Put in another way, two people want to climb a mountain. One of them is carrying heavy rocks and the other one is not carrying any load. Naturally, the one who doesn't carry any burden will reach the summit first. Both vegetarians and non-vegetarians can take a plunge into inner bliss, but a vegetarian, who is lighter and is full of reverence for life, may find the path easier than the non-vegetarian because of our journey in meditation is all about the body's chemistry. Even the Buddha, who allowed non-vegetarian food, realized that whenever he ate meat, meditation became an effort, but when he avoided it, he could meditate easily. That the transformation of human consciousness is not possible without bringing change in the body. Our body reacts to the kind of food we eat. The chemistry that the taste buds trigger when we eat meat-based food will be different when we eat vegetarian food. This is science and not religion. I admire Pythagoras because he was the first Western seeker who realized that by consuming meat, a person absorbs the animal inside, and to reach the peak of consciousness, this unconscious heavy food habit is to be avoided. Although Pythagoras was ridiculed for this idea, thousands of years later, the world is now recognizing that he was not just promoting a particular dietary habit, but was propagating the need for meditative energy for people to become more aware and touch the peaks of consciousness. Italian physician Antonio Cocchi, born in 1695 and best known for his work on anatomy, endorsed Pythagoras' views that a new way of living or opting for vegetarian food was not because of superstition, but because of the desire to improve the health and manners of men. Osho says that vegetarianism is an alchemical change within, which creates the space where the baser metal can be transformed into gold. He said, "Try vegetarianism and you will be surprised that meditation becomes far easier. Love becomes more subtle, loses its grossness, becomes more sensitive and less sensuous, and becomes more prayerful and less sexual." and your body also starts taking on a different vibe. You become more graceful, softer, more feminine, less aggressive, more receptive. Chandogya Upanishad says, Ahara Sudhau Sattva Suddhi, Sattva Sudhau Dhruva Smriti, Smr Tilamhe Sarva Grantham via Moksha, meaning, purity of thought is a consequence of the purity of the food that we eat. When food is pure and subtle, it transforms the very basic nature of man. Besides food, our senses play a major role in transforming our body's alchemy. Our senses respond differently to different types of food, vegetarian and non-vegetarian. And that is why the Chandogya Upanishad stresses the need to purify the senses through the food we eat. Not every vegetarian is a meditator. The messages from spiritual masters and scriptures are about unburdening the heavy baggage that we are carrying in our journey towards the peak of consciousness, in an easier and faster way. The essence of vegetarianism, which the Upanishads termed as purity, must be received and transcended beyond our sense organs including sight, touch, smell, listening, and taste in order to turn into unadulterated nature. Only then can our minds become more firm. A stable mind is more conducive to be transformed into thoughtlessness, a state of deep meditation.